when we talk about Canadian talent, I think you're one of the people to talk to because you're the original winner of Canadian Idol.
Yeah.
Was that the first like Canadian singing reality show, I guess, ever?
I think there was one, was it called Pop Stars? Was that a thing?
Oh, yeah, was that the one with Sugar Jones where they came from, I think?
I think so. I think so.
Right. Was that so maybe it was before you? I don't remember though.
It
Okay.
might it might have been around the same time. I think it was pre-Idol. The concept was there. It was not global, I think. So I think there was a bit of competition between the Idol camp on CTV and Global. But I think Toy Alexis from season one on Idol was on that show prior. I don't think she made it to Sugar Jones. Maybe she did. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know how it went. I think they had a single that it's tough, you know.
It is very tough. I'm
It's
curious,
tough.
speaking of Eva Avila, I'm curious after she won, like were you like what was your relationship with her? Did you talk to her, reach out to her at all?
Yeah, so we chat once in a while, just through social media. But I do remember her winning, and I thought she was super talented. And I knew she had she sang in French and English, which was really cool, very, very Canadian. And then that's probably 10 years later, I was watching some of her videos with the Brit Floyd, and I was like, oh my God, like she still has it, if not even more, especially to sing that song. I know you guys were chatting about it. It's fantastic. She's so talented.
Yeah, crazy. And I believe she actually did try out for the first season of Canadian Idol and then
Oh
like
yeah,
didn't
that's
make it or
right.
something.
Yeah. She did mention that actually. I think that's right. I think I might have even met her in line in Ottawa because that's where she
Okay.
was. She was living, I think, in Gatineau or somewhere close to that. So yeah, I think we actually maybe even stood in line. It was either her or maybe Carly Rae Jepsen. I can't remember. I know it was someone that went on to do stuff after Idol that I was like, oh shoot. Yeah, we were hanging out. It was kind of
Did
weird.
I not know? Wait, did Carly Rae she tried out for the first season?
I don't know. How old is she? She's got to be my
In her 40s?
age-ish.
Early
Yeah.
40s, yeah.
Maybe she didn't. I don't know. What season was she on? The third season or fourth?
That's a good question. I don't know. I should have done more research, but that's
No,
fine. It's
no,
all
that's fine.
good.
I should know this. I know it was Kaylin and Teresa on the second season, and then I kind of got a little lost after that.
I
Just
don't know. I'm curious though, because I want to know, is it true you went to the same high school with Avril Lavigne?
I did, yeah, yeah. So she was a couple years younger than me, so I don't think we actually knew each other when we were in high school. We did meet a few times just like at Juno's and stuff over the years. And there was definitely that Napanee connection. Yeah, for sure.
Right, yeah, because I
Yeah.
think she's like 5 years younger, so that's a pretty
Yeah.
big age gap.
Yeah, yeah.
I do, of course, want to go back to Canadian Idol because it's funny. It was forever ago that I actually watched it, so it's been a minute. But I did rewatch. They actually have pretty much every episode on YouTube, so which is pretty funny.
Nice. That's cool.
And going back to your initial audition, I find it fascinating because initially I feel like I watch it, and it seems like you're not going to even get through it all
Right.
because you're singing this old song, which I wrote down because I never heard of it, but it's
Yeah. Smoke gets in your eyes.
yeah, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, The Platters. From it's like they're from what, the 50s or 60s?
They're from the 40s and 50s. Originally, they were called the Ink Spots, which is a whole other thing. So anyone that knows old music will definitely know both those bands. But yeah, it's pretty old.
It's a pretty like unconventional song, I would think, to sing. And then,
Yeah,
one of the judges stops you, which to me sometimes is a bad thing. And then he's like,
yeah,
sing another song. And then you sing Down on the Corner, Creedence Clearwater. And
yeah,
then right after that, it just cuts to, you made it, you're in.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, can you take me into the room and like explain to
Sure.
me what happened?
So I wanted to sing. I grew up singing with my dad, and I kind of grew up on the 50s and 60s. So that was kind of our thing. We had a family band. So I knew all these songs, and the reason why I like "Smoke Is in Your Eyes" because it has a really low and then a really high. So I was like, if I only have like 30 seconds, I want to show these guys what I can do. And basically, what had happened was they had said, "You're good, like you got it." Too quickly. The producers are like, "No, we need more footage of this guy." So they're like, "Sing something else." And yeah, I think I sang the TCR song or whatever, and they're like, yeah, grab your ticket or whatever. But yeah, I remember the judges coming up to me like maybe 3 or 4 months later when we were when we were in Toronto filming, and they're like, yeah, we actually we're supposed to let you sing longer. I was like, oh, thank God. That was so nerve-wracking. I was like, I just wanted to get the hell out of that room, man.
Okay. And then,
Brutal.
and then you make it through, you through the next few rounds, but then I believe what was it? You didn't initially crack the top 10, right?
Yeah, so I had the unfortunate luck of being in the group of 10 with Toya, who is a powerhouse, super talent. And I guess the votes were super close. So what they ended up doing is they were going to do, I think, a wild card show. And so instead of just Toya getting in or just myself, they were like, we got to bring both these guys in. So I don't know how, I can't really remember how they did, if they did a separate week for the wild card or if they were like, hey, Toya, you're in, and also Ryan, you're in. It was like, it was such mental warfare that they did to us to do that kind of stuff. Like they probably knew they wanted us in regardless, but um, I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a top 11 again.
Okay, yeah, and then fast forward, you win Canadian Idol, boom, it's done, it's over. Because I feel like every winner they already prepare, have their number one single ready to go, like or the top few finalists. So you had the song Something More, I assume, like it was ready beforehand.
Yeah, so they gave myself and Gary, who was the runner-up, about a week
Yeah.
before the finale. They said, "Okay, you got to learn this song, go in the studio and record it, and whoever wins, that song's getting released to radio like that night." And so we both recorded it, and then we both had to sing it live on the finale, which was pretty interesting. I didn't even know the finale. I thought once they announced the winner, the show was over, so I didn't even know we were still on the air. So I was just like walking around like in a daze and like, oh, you still have to sing this song. I'm like, what? Like my voice is gone. I've been screaming and singing for, a week straight to get to the show. But yeah, it was pre-written, I guess, a couple weeks at least. Like it was a good song. I mean, it's not something I would write, but props to the guys that wrote it. It was definitely, people seem to like it. So
Well, because I do want to bring up something because you mentioned that because yes, that was the number one single. That's what they promoted, and it was at the time it had the record for the longest number one single in Canada, like 13 weeks or something,
yeah,
which is a pretty good thing, multi-platinum.
yeah.
But listen to your album. For me, obviously music is subjective, but there's two songs to me that I think stood out even more and were better in my opinion, and I want your opinion on that.
I'm curious
The
to
first
see which
one,
ones you're gonna say. Yeah, I'm curious,
so I think they're both good, but I think number one for me, absolutely perfect.
dude. 100%. I wanted that to be the single. Like,
Okay, good. I'm not
yeah,
crazy. It's such a good song. It gave me I see like Our Lady Peace vibes a little
a
bit.
100. So I did that with Gavin Brown. Gavin produced like all 3 Days Grace stuff. Like he's a monster in the music industry as a producer. And so when they brought him on as one of the writers, I'm like, this is what I'm going for. And we kind of sat in the room, and even the demo was sick. And then you start getting demoitis, where you love the demo so much, and then you hear the album, and you're like, ah. But yeah, that song, 100% was like for me the best song on the album because I'm more of a rock guy. But yeah, what was your second?
Ride. I really liked Ride.
Yeah, is that the one with Randy Bachman?
Is Randy like he's no? I know it just starts off quick with a good guitar. I don't know if
It's
that.
like a.
And then you mentioned like Cheryl, listening to Cheryl Crow or
Yeah, so
something.
I wrote that with Randy Bachman. Yeah,
Oh shit.
yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah, that was a fun one to do live. That one was really tough because it's so high. I can just remember like dreading when it's coming up in the set on tour. I'm like, oh God, here we go. But yeah, no, that's another fun one for sure. Absolutely. There were some cringy moments on that album. And
It was the
I'll
2000s.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
So then you had, I guess, so the goal was to always push something more first, I assume. But then was there no chance to have Absolutely Perfect as another single?
Um, so at the time I was with BMG, which is like RCA in Canada, and Ivan Berry was the head of A&R. I don't know how much say Ivan had as far as choosing the singles. He was a great guy. He is a great guy. I'm assuming he's still around. But we didn't see eye to eye. Like me and the label were like oil and water for sure because they were just trying to throw any style that would and see what would stick, right? So they're like, okay, this pop song, you can tell by the album because it's all over the place. There's like R&B, there's country, there's like they're like what do we, how do we make this appeal to everybody? And so I think that was one of my main issues with it. But yeah, the second single they came out with was Star of All the Planets, which did well. I think it peaked at number 4 or something. But it's it's a little pop song for sure. Like you said, it was the early 2000s. But I would have much rather gone with something with a little more substance. There's a song on the album called Memory Lane that I wrote with Rob Wells, and he's a phenomenal writer. Like he's done Bieber, like all the big stuff. And so when he brought that song, I was like, oh yeah, this is a quality song. Not that the other stuff weren't, it just wasn't me. But yeah, I remember fighting with the label. They released a country version of one of the songs. They made me re-record a little bit of it, and I'm like, this is a bad idea. And back in the day, yeah, I had a bit of I think I had a bit of an attitude afterwards because I was just like, everyone's telling me different things, and I'm trying to do something else. And yeah, it was just it was a weird time with the label, to be honest.
No, I think you had every right to be upset. You're the artist, you're the one making the music. So, but it's a very common thing, right, in the business, as you're well aware.
Yeah.
So is that why I would assume then you kind of left that and moved on to low level flight?
Yeah, so right around the time I was supposed to be doing a second album, BMG and Sony merged, and it was a chopping block, man. It was brutal. I remember all these bands that I knew from the label that were really great, and like they had success, but everyone was just getting dropped, like because they couldn't bring in both rosters. They just couldn't afford it. That's why they merged. So I unfortunately, yeah, I think I was one of the ones that got dropped.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, this is better. I don't want to be on this label anymore. I want to do my own thing. And I started my own label with Mike Rosenberg, my business partner, and then the band. Yeah.
Yeah. Did that for a bit. Did you put out 2 albums?
hmm Yeah. So Low Level Flight, we did 2 albums. First one we recorded in Toronto. Second one we did at the Boiler Room with Gus Van Gogh, who just did like the Beaches album. Like he's crushing it right now. We were big fans of the Stills back in the day, and Gus was really instrumental with that band. So that's sort of the direction we wanted to go, and like Interpol and all that stuff. So we were like, this guy's perfect fit for us, and so he did our second album. Yeah.
A friend of mine, Ryan, also named Ryan, he goes, "How does one learn that they've been
Oh
dropped?"
yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I probably got a call from my manager, Jeff Rogers, who's like an institution in the industry in Canada. And I don't know how I took it. I was probably expecting it, um, because they kept shelving. I would send them demos and I had a 2 album deal. So I don't know if they had to pay me or maybe it was a 1 album deal. I don't know. The problem is they had a new idol every year, right? So,
Yeah.
not to sound jaded, but why would they keep me when they can just have the fresh guy and then the fresh guy and then the fresh, you know what I mean? So I think it was to
Yeah.
be expected, but yeah, I probably didn't love that. I probably didn't take it well. Yeah.
No, fair enough. I'm curious, because I think you said in another interview, the name Low Level Flight was from like lyrics from a song that never was released or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even remember the song, but, yeah, that we have so many unfinished songs, like all musicians. But
Yep.
yeah, no, that was fun getting those guys together and just kind of branching out on my own, and still having my connections with the industry really helped. And but we found out quickly that even with success, in Canada, you've really got to make your own path, and it can be tough. It can be very tough for sure.
Absolutely. But as you know, sometimes you got to pivot and do other things. So for you, I guess one of those things was just going to Costa Rica. moving
Yeah.
there, starting of the air, or not the Airbnb, but the restaurant,
Yep.
which you had for. By the way, I looked into it. I think they renamed it. If I'm
They have. Yeah.
the Phoenix.
So when we left, our friends who were running the hotel portion took over the restaurant. It was called Augustino's, and then um, they parted ways with the B&B. And yeah, there's a lovely Nicaraguan couple right now. They've had it for like 6 or 7 years, called Phoenix, I think. We've been down there a bunch. Like, well, we still go back to the restaurant, and we still know everyone down there, so it's kind of like our second home.
Cool. I've never been, so I just came back from Mexico
I
actually a
saw
week
that,
ago.
yeah.
Although I was on a resort the entire time, and of course everyone's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm 2,400 kilometers away on a resort. I'm fine." Like,
Right.
I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I saw that. I was like, I wonder where he is right now. I figured. Yeah.
But I've never actually been into, honestly, every time I've gone to South America, or but Mexico, it's always been on a resort. But like, so I've never been to Costa Rica, but I know you weren't on a resort. You were like in proper, like the
Yeah.
jungle or whatever. So what
Yeah.
is it about Costa Rica that you would say sets it apart from other places?
Yeah. So I've done the resort thing. I mean, when I was in my 20s, a couple of buds, you see it sell off vacations, $500, right? And you're like, oh God, free alcohol and food for a week. I can't live in Toronto for less than $500 a week. So we would do all that. But then my wife and I, yeah, we went to Costa Rica. And for us, it was just the natural beauty, which obviously a lot of those countries have down there. But also the safety infrastructure. Like Costa Rica is very, it's definitely highly ranked among other nations just for, safety. And that was part of it. You never really feel like you need to be on a resort in Costa Rica. That's why there's only a handful of them. Mostly you're going to do hotels or Airbnbs. Whereas Mexico, and we toured Mexico as a band, like we love Mexico. But I've also been like in Tijuana at like 2 a.m. and maybe I shouldn't have been or whatever, but that's not something that I would really that would concern me about Costa Rica because I mean, we were also very remote in the middle of the jungle, so it was the only thing we had that was of any danger, I guess, would be, a snake or something. But luckily I had my wife to protect me, so she gets rid of all the bugs and everything. That's the deal.
Fair enough. So if I was to travel to Costa Rica, would you, I guess, still recommend that Airbnb or the
Oh
VNB, I
yeah.
should say? Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. I would definitely recommend it. In fact, I'd write your whole itinerary. Every time someone asks me,
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, do you have any suggestions?" I'm like, "Sit down." And I love it. I enjoy it so much.
Okay. No, honestly, I would actually consider in the future because of course, I want to travel more and discover more. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
we'll
culture
see
is
about that.
amazing. The culture is amazing. And like, I mean, for food, you can't beat Mexico. Like Mexico food is top notch for
Yeah,
sure. But just being able to go to another country and actually being able to, immerse yourself is so much fun.
absolutely. And then, you come back from there, and I guess the next thing for you was real estate. So I guess the question is why get into real estate?
Yeah, so when we left Costa Rica, my wife and I took a job in the backcountry in BC, running a ski resort slash, well, it was a lodge, really. And while we were doing that, I was like, we're gonna have to go back to Ontario at some point. So I cracked open these textbooks, signed up for the courses, and then by the time we got back to Ontario, I was ready to write the exams, and that was basically it. But I did that because I figured it was something I would enjoy because I love being with people. I love meeting people. Um, I do love, houses. I love architecture. And, let's be honest, as a musician, you got to get on stage. You're selling yourself. So I'm a bit of a salesman. I take after my dad that way for sure.
Right. And then you literally meshed the two together as of the last, I don't know, few months. I wanted you
Yeah.
to tell me when you started this whole, when you were selling the houses, and then also once they were sold, is making these cover songs with from different bands, from Creed to the White Stripes to Shania, which is so original. When did this all start? How did that idea come about?
Yeah, so we were listing a friend's property in the summer, and Jen had said you should do a song for the video because I mean, let's be honest. Saying hi, I'm Ryan Malcolm. Welcome to 392. X Street. It's boring, it's cringy, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I love watching realtors who've never been on camera get on camera and try and do their thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. But we didn't want to do that because we've been doing it for so long. And so we did a song for our friend, and then it went really well. And before you know it, we started getting calls from clients saying, "Look, we want you to list the house, but we also want this type of marketing because it's just unique, and not a lot of people can do it, or not a lot of people do it, I guess." So yeah, we've been having a blast with it. I think we've done 30 since the summer, and it's like it's great. The variety of music has been insane. Um, but having the background of singing really helps, and I also have a producer who has a studio. I live in the county, so others, like, I don't know, are you in Ontario?
I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, so you know the county, Prince Edward County. We've got
Mhm.
tons of musicians here, and so one of my good friends, Annalise Nerona, she's a producer in the county, so I just go over there for, like, a couple hours, and we bang these out, and it's a lot of fun.
No, yeah, it's so I appreciate it as someone who, when I'm coming up with ideas for videos, try to be, original and unique. Especially as you know, in yeah, like you said, in the real estate business, it can be very bland and like just
Yeah,
selling. And people don't care about the numbers. Like, yes, they do, but I love watching real estate shows. So, for instance, $1 million Listing, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
Ryan Serhant is now doing his own thing with was it Owning Manhattan, which I also like.
right.
And I feel like I think I could possibly do like that role too, because you're not just selling the home, you're selling emotion,
For sure.
which you're doing through these songs. I'm curious, how long from like the conception of thinking of the lyrics to shooting to editing, how long does that all take for one
Yeah.
video?
So probably I would say a week or two. The shooting process is fairly quick. I would say maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, depending. I
Pretty
usually
good.
can get it in a few takes, although if you ask our videographer, he'll tell you different, which is fair. But it's really the editing process. So Connor, our editor, he needs like 2 or 3 days for sure. I mean, he's got other clients, obviously, right? So, but it's a long process, and some of them are more involved. Like we sold a winery in the fall, and that one was like a 4 minute, story. So that took quite a bit of time. We were there shooting all day essentially because we'll do the listing pictures and the videos the same day. But yeah, generally I would say shoot the 45 minutes and then another hour in the studio. It's fairly quick. The lyrics, I've never been known for good lyrics, so to be able to just write like literal lyrics is right up my alley. Like if I don't have to be creative and like, um, yeah, I always listen to these bands that I love, and I'm like, man, how do they come up with these poetic lyrics? And I'm just like, guy likes girl, or whatever it is. So for
Yeah.
me, the real estate ones is perfect because I don't have to be too artsy.
Okay, interesting. Have you, has anyone like the band itself, anyone like noticed those videos at all or anything or not yet?
Yeah, for sure. It was funny. I got a call from my drummer, Brandon Marinick, who lives in Toronto, and he's like, "I'm listening to you sing about a house right now on Q107." I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" And he's like, and he sends me the clip, and one of the DJs, Sarah Cross, I don't know her last. I think she may still have the last name. Anyway, someone I know from Kingston who used to work at the Wig. She's also a DJ with Q107, and she recognized my voice and did a little, 5 minute blurb on our videos. And he's like, "What the hell's going on? You're singing. I think it was Take on Me by Aha or something." And so yeah, he's heard it. The other guy is absolutely. My producer is actually my bass player's brother or sister. So it just by fluke we moved 3 doors down from his sister, who's a phenomenal producer. So we've been kind of joined at the hip since. But yeah, so yeah, they all know about it. My family knows about it. All the other realtors in town know about it. They're super supportive. They love it. It's funny, and that's the thing. As competitive as real estate is, when you're in a smaller community like Kingston or Napanee, everyone kind of works together, and so it's not like super cutthroat like I imagine Toronto would be. So they've been very supportive, and it's been a lot of fun.
That's good to hear, but I could just imagine it'd be so funny if someone else, the competition's like, we gotta beat this. How can we do it? And then they come up with their own song and it's like really shitty or something. But I don't know if that'll
Yeah.
happen. But
I'm
But
sure it will. I'm sure it will. I've seen a couple other guys do it, and then some people
yeah.
will comment, Ryan's already, you're too late. And I'm like, guys, let them do their thing. It's fine. We're all, there's more than enough room for everyone to make asses of themselves on their listing videos. So,
Right. But what I was getting at initially was I'm hoping that these big artists that you're covering, I hope they
oh
notice they
yeah,
want to. And so what I'm suggesting to you, I'm not, and it's not a guarantee ever, but by tagging them and maybe getting people to tag them, it could get
yeah.
them to notice it. I'm just saying. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's funny. We did have Rick Astley watch a couple of ours. Weird Al's watched them, which is kind of like that's literally the Weird Al of real estate. That's what we're doing, right? So, which was really kind of cool. And we just got, I don't know if they reposted or what, but for whatever reason, Cool in the Gang, the lead singer loved our video, and I'm like, how did you even see it? Like, you're in California. I don't know the algorithm. I
Yeah.
know nothing about social media, how that works, if it's just, random or what, but
It is random, but it also isn't shocking because he's obviously music background. It's music, so
yeah.
it makes sense. You never know. But I will definitely, after this is all done, and when I make clips from these interviews, I definitely want to focus on that because it is very unique, and I
It's
appreciate
cool.
that.
Yeah, right on.
Um, but just not much longer. But I just want to go back, of course, because everyone loves nostalgia. So just
For sure.
Canadian Idol. I'm curious other artists that you've collaborated with because something I've noticed is the collaboration in Canada, and one person is Luke McMaster, who of course worked with Eva Avila, but also of course
Yep.
was McMaster and James, and Rob James was on Canadian Idol. So who else would you say you've worked with other
Yeah.
Canadian artists?
So Luke, for sure. Luke worked on my first album. And we've toured with, I mean, geez, like Bon Jovi. I've done shows with Kelly Clarkson multiple times, just with the Idol connection, obviously. Um, I even did stuff with David Beckham in London because we had the same manager. So I did like a corporate show at Royal Albert Hall. Like I've got stories, man. Like it's been a wild ride. I'm super fortunate and very blessed to have had those. As far as like musicians I've worked with, well, Randy Bachman was definitely a highlight. I'm
They're
sure
going. He's going on tour again. I think this year. You got to get on tour with him. Come
man,
on.
he's so great. Like, and he's got to be up there, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah,
I spoke to him a year or two ago because he had a movie featured a documentary at TIFF. Really, it was really really cool. Yeah.
nice.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Ryan's asking about my hairstyles. Just really quickly, I apologize for the hairstyles during Idol. Yeah, it
2000s
was the
again. 2000s.
2000s. I have to tell my wife that she's 10 years younger than me. So she sees it and she's like, what is that?" And I'm like, "You don't want to know." At least
I
I didn't have frosted tips. So,
know, which I feel like you would have rocked. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, I was losing my hair by I want to say the end of the show. So they were doing whatever they could, to try and salvage. Maybe it made it worse though, because like everyone talks about the hair. They're like, how? Anyway, yeah.
Um,
But as far as people I've worked with, there's been a lot. Just the great producers, really, like Gus and Annalise and Mike Barkowski, Ray Coburn, who was in my original Idol band. He just finished like 5 years of touring with Supertramp. Like he's one of the original members of Honeymoon Suite. He's toured the world like probably 20 times, So I got a bit of an education from all these people who have already done it, which was so important.
awesome. Yeah, and going back, and apparently, like the show Canadian Idol was like the most watched show at the time. It was like 2 million viewers. Like it was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah,
Just curious, like anything like behind the scenes things that people didn't know was happening that you would be able to share at all.
sure. I mean, there were some shenanigans in the Idol mansion for sure. Billy and I would go out and get drunk because we were older than everyone. So we're like, "You're not keeping us here." So we go in, and this was after we started filming, so it was kind of dangerous for us to go out because pretty much everyone knew we were those two idiots from TV. So I think one night the security guy for the house was calling the producers like, I can't find Ryan and Billy. Like, I don't know where these guys are. So we're like coming back like there's no issue in the cab, and we got in a lot of trouble that night. But I mean, we were 23. I mean, we're not. I don't want to be babysat at 23.
Yeah.
And there were some other shenanigans that occurred for sure in the mansion, but for the most part, it was pretty chill. Behind the scenes at the show, I mean, I can remember we'd spend all day filming or at least rehearsing, and then you go live. So we were there for 12 hours a day, and you know, there it would be like Sass would be in there with a bottle of wine, relaxing before the show or whatever, and I'd go like, I have a little bit of wine, a little bit of loosen up. But yeah, I mean, most of it I think was like right after the finale. I kind of got bombarded by like I think I had to do like 120 interviews on the phone with 120 different outlets. It was insane. Um, and I probably made some mistakes. And I think there's someone mentioned that I was smoking in the theater. Like, yeah, what are you gonna do? You know, I did that. Yeah, sorry. So it was like it was insane to be honest. To be a part of it, whether you're the guy that won or whoever, it was because it had never been done, especially not at that scale in Canada. It was bonkers. It was bonkers for sure.
I love how you literally say it. And then as you say bonkers, Ryan says, was Ben Mulroney as bonkers then as he seems?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. Ben was lovely. Ben,
yeah.
because he had that experience on eTalk, so he made us all feel very calm in front of camera. But he was also generous with his time. I can tell you a little story. I made a couple of errors when I would do interviews, and long story short, I made a joke about the Mulroney Prime Minister in Maclean's magazine, and Ben's a friend of mine, and they printed it, and I was like, I'm very sarcastic, so if you and I are talking, it makes sense. But if you see it written down, you're like, that guy's an asshole. And
Mm.
they wrote it in the Maclean's article, and I was like, oh my God. And I was in Africa, like on vacation with my manager, and he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, oh my God. So I like emailed Ben. I'm like, I am so sorry. And he took it, and he was like, he knew real. He's like, you don't know what you're doing because I've been famous my whole life. You've been famous for 3 months. So he did give me a bit of grace on that, which was really nice. And actually, he invited me over to his house. We had steak and we broke bread. It was fine. But yeah, I learned a lot of lessons doing interviews for sure.
Yeah. No, yeah. Like just like Eva, mentioned, yeah, it's crazy. They put you out there and it's nonstop. So I can understand if you have like a bit of a mental breakdown, it's a lot. So
Yeah, how was Eva's like? Did she seems way more put together than me, so she was probably fine. Uh,
I think
yeah,
overall, but she had her moments, I'm sure. And especially different challenges being a woman, I'm sure
sure.
like the creepy dudes and stuff like that, right?
100%.
So
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I don't
um
know how old she was when she won, but yeah, that would have been a much different experience. And I think, being the first, definitely there were mistakes made not only on my part, but just on the production's part, on the media's part, on the
yeah.
label's part. Nobody really knew what the hell they were doing. So they were like, "Oh, it's going to sell 1 million albums. Let's do this." And it only sold, 150,000. They're like, "Uh-oh." And I'm like, "Who's selling 1 million albums in Canada in the mid 2000s?" Like, I think Amanda Marshall was like the last Canadian band, like artist to do that. I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm not Celine Dion. Um, I never had those illusions in my brain. But anyway, yeah, so a lot of mistakes were made on everyone's part just because it had never been done. So,
Right. And again, of course how tricky it is in the Canadian market. So and I assume would you say with low level flight, were you maybe trying to focus more on the American market?
no, no, I mean, the Canadian market, like, we had a lot of love here. We did so well at Much. Like, we had like
Yeah.
not like nine top 10 music videos at Much or whatever, and radio play was great. It was the live shows that were always the challenge because Canada's so big. And so you might have a pocket of fans in northern Alberta, but we could never get there because it's going to cost us, 4 grand to play the show, and come back. And so we did have trouble routing tours at our level. We weren't big enough where it was like, okay, we're making, 15, 20,000 a show. It was like $1,000, 1,500. And after Idol, yeah, sure, that it was, I was getting, $10,000, $20,000 a show, but that doesn't last for sure, as we've already spoken. But we just focused on Europe, to be honest, and India. We had better tours in India than we did in Canada, which is insane, but it's true.
Well, first of all, that is wild. It's funny you say that because I remember looking at an old video on YouTube, and you're like literally just playing guitar on a beach in India with just guys just standing right around you. I'm like, this is such a weird moment, but probably pretty
It was
cool at the same
it
time.
was such a killer trip, man. We had so much fun. India is incredible. Yeah, it was so wild. And to them, we were exotic because we're the import, right? Like, oh my God, you're from North America, So it was kind of fun to be, to be able to tour India and even over in the UK, we had a lot of good shows over there. But yeah, it was just Canada was always tough.
Canada, man, it's wild. It's a weird market, and it's obviously evolved over the last few years, decades even, I guess. But
Yeah, what do you
um,
notice? You're probably more in touch with the scene. I mean, what's going on in the Canadian music industry? Are artists that are artists able to make a living off purely record sales or, singles? Is that a thing anymore?
I don't know about. I think it's more touring, and probably touring is the big one, and that's always been the big one, right? Touring.
Yeah,
It's funny. I talked about people like, well, there's two people I think of. So if you know Tyler Shaw.
yeah,
Yeah, Tyler Shaw. He is young. He's younger than me. I'm 38. He's like 32 or something, but he's been around for just over a decade.
yeah,
Had some big songs.
yeah.
Um, Not like a megastar, but like has done well enough where I think he is pretty successful. People think if you're not making millions, you're not successful. Like, no, like if you can make a few 100,000 a year, that's fine, right?
Hell yeah.
And so I think he's one of those people he's doing okay. And then I think someone who's made an amazing comeback, I'm sure you've seen Sean Desmond.
Yeah. That guy has lasting power, man. I've met him
Yeah.
many times over the years. The nicest guy you'll ever meet. Like
Yeah.
he has zero attitude, that guy. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I was at his comeback shows, like an OVO thing, like from 2002. Great show, and he's done great since then. He has a good team around him, social media, and that's the big one, social media, to be honest.
Yeah,
In this day and age, of course, and
for
of
sure.
course, and now there's just so many artists, of course. So the newer artists, it sucks for them unless they have like a crazy social media following.
Yeah, for sure. And I know labels won't touch you unless you do. Like that's the thing. They don't want to put the time and the money into developing an artist like they used to because A, there's no money, right? So you kind of have to go to them, when after you've done all the hard work. And at this point, why would you even bother? You can do your own platform, like you said, social media is
Yep.
crucial. Um, and yeah, I just don't have the energy to do that. I mean, I like playing once in a while. Even what Eva's doing, it seems exhausting. Um, but what a rush to be able to play, in front of those large crowds with such an incredible band,
Yeah.
night after night. That would be amazing for sure. But yeah, I think I don't miss it, and I don't envy the new ones coming up. That's for sure.
Fair. Well, I guess you kind of answered my question because I was going to ask, like, do you plan not to make a full comeback, of course, 'cause I know you're focusing on real estate, but
Yeah, yeah.
I guess you'll do like one-off, you said, or I assume you did your share of corporate gigs back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. I did a show for Viagra of all things, and I think I played like one song, and then they had me talk about, achieving your goals and your dreams, and um, they paid me insane amount of money. And I remember I was young. I'm like, oh man, so I'm rich forever now. Like you're an
Mhm. Of
idiot. When you're 23, you're an idiot, or at least I was,
course.
right?
Yeah, of course.
And so it's such a weird life that I've been having. But yeah, I've done so many corporate things, and I'll still do them once in a while. And usually the money is just to pay the band. I don't really focus on music for money anymore. Thank God, I don't have to, because it was tough. I was living on my buddy's couch for like 3 years, in the like 2009 to 11, like and this is when Lolo Flight was touring, and I didn't even have my own place, so it was pretty tough to do that. But yeah, the corporate stuff was always fun. I just did a corporate gig, like in the fall, for Kinsman Canada, I think. So I have bands that I can kind of, rehearse with and put on the shows with, and then I've got Low Level Flight. We did a reunion show last year for the first time in 10 years, so that was kind of fun.
Wait, I feel like what's the real estate company that you work for? What's it called?
Remax Finest Realty.
Remax. I feel
Yeah.
like would they like reach out to you for like a Christmas party or something?
So yeah, we have our gala at the end of the month, and I told them, I said I'd do a few. I got them the musicians. Like I told them who to hire. I didn't tell them who to hire. I gave them suggestions. And I know the guys. I'm like, well, we'll go up and do a couple jazz standards for sure. And actually, I think we're probably going to be doing something with Remax Corporate. We're getting a lot of press because of the videos, right? So,
Yeah.
we've done a few magazine articles, a few newspaper articles, which is kind of funny to be back in the news for music. But
Yeah,
yeah,
listen, it honestly, it's a great idea. Keep doing it. I would say keep doing it as long as you want to. Not that
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
trying to tell you what to do, obviously, but
yeah,
as someone, with social media especially, it's like you don't want to do it because you feel like you have to. You want to enjoy it, right? And it'll show
for
in the
sure,
music.
for sure.
So, yeah, I enjoy it. I think it's a great idea. And like I said, I'll talk about it later on. So,
Awesome.
keep it up. And thank you for giving me, your
Yeah, man.
time.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out, and yeah, keep in touch.
All right. Sounds good, man. Have a good night.
Thanks, John. We'll see you soon,
All
bud.
right.